Policy Institute is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and it was started as the Washington Bureau of the National Urban League. So we are the policy office of the National Urban League movement, the only part of headquarters that's located here in the nation's capital. Our charge is to pursue federal funding that allows our affiliates to continue to do their service work, as well as to promote through advocacy and research policies that support the communities that we serve in our 4 key areas of jobs, health, housing, and education. This year we had 2. So we originally began with a focus on education and employment, trying to connect those 2 to really have meaningful conversations about how we prepare today and tomorrow's workforce to succeed in a globally competitive environment. Too often the conversation about education does not have an endpoint that results in us accomplishing our goal that every American child is ready for college, work, and life. And so we really wanted to bring that conversation together so that we really make sure for every additional unit of education you complete, you're more employable and more ready for the next steps in your life. And then we added this additional piece in response largely to the really unfortunate attack on voting rights. And so we added this focus on Occupy the Vote to really try to sound a call to arms to educate ourselves around how to be prepared to vote this year. For those who attended, they had an opportunity to connect with the executive branch in a really small, intimate, sleeves rolled up type of way. Heard from secretaries of education, housing, health and human services, and assistant secretaries at the Department of Labor. So they got to have that intimate contact, as well as with the White House, to get a good sense of what the key initiatives that the president is pursuing are, as well as to bring their message to the Hill with their elected representatives. For those who are not here, they can continue. The National Urban League Policy Institute is working all year round, and we're available to provide those same types of connections at other times of year. And then we have launched the Occupy the Vote Election Center on IamEmpowered.com, where we'll be constantly updating it with materials that allow our constituents to register to vote, to find out about these voter laws that are causing problems in 34 states, as well as to share their stories about what their experiences are.
I think the biggest takeaway was just acknowledging the fact that there is a problem within the United States when it comes to voter suppression, and understanding that in order to empower other people, we ourselves need to be empowered, not just by knowledge, but understanding of the real issue of the voter ID and the women's rights issues that we are facing. I think in Texas right now, there's a 2.3 million people who are going to be affected by this voter ID. So just the fact that we understand this and we have internalized this and we know what this means for minorities in general, then that gives us the empowerment to go home and tell others and encourage others to also support what Houston area or the Urban League is doing.
Major takeaways are that I can get out there and definitely reach out to these congressmen, different senators, go there, knock on their door, let them know exactly where these issues are. We have the Urban Jogs app. We have to let them go ahead and vote for it, because this is crazy what is going on in this country nowadays. We have to make sure, because as an American, I cannot understand why we allow these things to happen. We have to help our nation.
My major takeaways are the the amount of unity that we have as an organization and how passionate we are about the issues at hand. The fact that we have been able to come from across the country and focus on particular issues and really be able to get things done. We're not afraid to get in people's faces, of course, in a positive way, to make sure that the policies that are beneficial to our cause are being enacted.
This is my first LPC, and my takeaway is sort of overwhelmed. I didn't really know what to expect when I came. I knew that, I was told that I would learn a lot of information about the National Urban League's policy agenda and sort of information on how we can help and support that on the affiliate level and the young professionals level. But what I found is that the information would be completely useful, helpful, and practical. I also had an opportunity to see some of the world's leaders by way of our nation's leaders, and I thought that was sort of a great value add. And it's really incredible that registration, it didn't cost, and we were able to have conversations with people like Steny Hoyer and Nancy Pelosi and Congressman Clyburn, and I really feel blessed and I'm honored to be able to come out here and represent the great Urban League of Greater Atlanta. And I'm looking forward to going back to them and taking all the information that I learned, both on sort of the legislative policy standpoint. We also learned great information about funding sources and sort of different ways to try to support your affiliate. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yes, this is my first LPC. What I really enjoyed was the State of the Black Union, 2012. I felt inspired, and just to hear from an array of folks from different walks of life about the sort of charges and the new challenges for the African American community. Kind of pumped up, ready to get back to Denver, excite my board, and get to work on the ground.
The benefit of coming as a group is important. So one of the main takeaways I got is, this is the 9th year that the National Urban League and the Urban League affiliates have come to the Capitol to push for jobs and economic opportunity, and that fight continues. So one major takeaway is, although we issue the State of Black America every year, and we come to LPC every year, the fight's not over, and so we have to continue to be vigilant and keep it up, and it's important.
This is my third legislative policy conference, and each year it just brings so much joy in the work of the Urban League here, because I really love seeing people across the country coming together and lobbying for what we need in our communities. And this year was no different. They did a great job. The Policy Institute, Mark Morial, our CEO, and all of the staff at the Urban League has done a great job getting us in front of leaders, allowing us to see the sites of the MLK Memorial and the White House. So I'm very happy.
This is my first LPC, and it has been so empowering. The State of Black America 2012 took away so many things that I can take back to my chapter in Broward County. Being around other young professionals that are inspired to do more, being in the White House, seeing greatness, just being around greatness, positive greatness is an influence in itself. So I took away so much from every event that I've been to at the LPC.
I think what's happening right now is we're galvanizing people to remember the past but be looking forward to the future, and I think that this is what's happening at this particular LPC. I mean, I think that we're getting a lot of great information that's going to be useful, that we can take back to our communities from a policy standpoint for jobs, from a policy standpoint for businesses, from a policy standpoint for education. So I have to say this is one of the best LPCs that I've actually attended, and I've been to all of them at this point.
I think it was a great opportunity to meet with other young professionals. This is my first conference, and it also was an opportunity for me to experience firsthand some of the struggles that Black America is experiencing right now, and how to develop our skills to take back to our home chapter and continue to teach our other members and grow and hopefully make a difference in the country.
I love the LPC conference because for me it kind of explains the advocacy arm of the Urban League movement. It shows us putting our best practices to work here in Washington, meeting with representatives and showing them what the issues are in our local communities. And so for me, I'm empowered to go back and really get in the trenches. In Memphis, there are a lot of young people between 18 to 30 who are not prepared to enter the competitive workforce. And so for us, it is imperative to us to get them to that place and prepare them for that level.
This is my 6th LPC. Each year I come to DC excited about what the National Urban League movement has in store for us to go and push on the Hill, advocating for essentially social change in our local communities, but with a national effort.
LPC, I've been here every year of the 9 years that it has been in place. Always have some great takeaways from it. This year, especially, the takeaway for me was with the meetings with the departments of Labor, Health and Human Service, Education, and HUD. A little different than what we've had the first 8 LPCs, so was able to get a lot of good information. But it's always good to be able to come here, meet with your different representatives, get the different briefings that we get. The added White House tour and the Martin Luther King Monument was definitely a plus. And so I think that this is a time when the National Urban League can showcase itself down here on the Hill and continue to push and advocate for all of the things that we'd like to see people have a good health, a good quality of life.
Well, one, you need to know your rights as a voter in your particular city, your state. That's important. A lot of folks need to know what their basic rights are. I do that back home in New York City. I think, too, you've got to vote in every single election. It can't just be the presidential election, which is important. We have to do that. But I tell folks those judge races are important. You know, city council, all the person races are important. Voting has to become natural to us as breathing, as eating. And then I think on top of that, you know, every event that we do going forward, be it a party, be it young professionals coming together, there should be some sort of voter registration, some mention of it. I had a Super Bowl party in New York City where the Giants won, of course. New York Giants won. And right in the middle of the party, we said, all right, y'all, we're going to talk about voting for a second. And so it's that important to us. And folks understood, you know, that we got to do this. And we had 300 people there, 300 influencers there, young people between 20-something, early 40-something. And we're like, y'all got to vote. This is not a joke here.
Major things that I think, as a dean of the School of Education, is that we need to increase the diversity of the public school teacher. You know, less than 8% of the nation's public school teachers are African American, and this is hurting our children. We cannot continue to foreclose their educational and economic future by not having a representative body of intellectual authority figures in classrooms across the nation. And so anything that our community can do to increase the representativeness of African American teachers in public school classrooms is exceptionally important. We believe that we're reaching and teaching our own, but largely we are not. 73% of inner city teachers are white, 68% of inner city principals are white. We need to diversify this nation's teaching corps, the principal corps, and the individuals who are leading school districts as superintendents. If everyone would send someone to an HBCU to be educated as a teacher and ultimately a principal or a superintendent, I think that we would see tremendous gains among our children.
Students are doing a number of things. The students are organizing, but the students aren't organizing in traditional ways. We had a forum last night. Roland Martin had actually recorded his show here on campus. And so they were talking about, well, we understand the way that you did it in the day, but they're tweeting, they're using Facebook, they're using all the new social media to connect with students all across the country and to identify issues that unite students and really motivate them to get out and vote. And so we have leaders of our fraternities who were there last night, rival fraternities, but coming together because they understand the importance of it. So what they're trying to do is to make sure that all the students have the right information, accurate information, and they understand the saliency of this, why it's important and why it's important that they take action. After they finish doing that, then they get all of the people in alignment. Then they're going to talk about where they're going to go, where they're going to volunteer to actually get people registered in other communities, and how they're going to go about doing that.
Wow, what is how?
One of the things that's working is the Urban League, okay? When you look at the work that they're doing, along with what Reverend Sharpton is doing, and other, even the CBC with the voter suppression rights and bills and things like that, those things are working. What's not working is we're not coming together. We've had every movement in this country except an economic movement, and it's time for us to have an economic movement in this country. It's two things that is vital to me for Black America. One, as an attorney, I see what's happening in the criminal system. I see these nonviolent felons. I see these people getting misdemeanors, and their records stay with them for life. We should be like the Tea Party about the legal system. The second thing is, I look at how many other tribes of mankind is in our community making money, and we think about money one of two ways: either big money or no money at all. Not realizing that if you have a community that has 10,000 people in it, if just those 10,000 people spend $100 a month at a corner store, that store is doing $12 million a year. If they do just 5,000 of them do $100 a month, it's doing $6 million a year. Just leaving their community every day. And we keep thinking that it's no money in our ghettos and in impoverished neighborhoods. And it's huge money there if we just collectively put it together. So we need an economic movement and we need a criminal justice movement to change what's going on, especially for these young boys. You know, they're getting probation thinking they're beating the case and don't realize that it's going to be with them for life. So those are the two things I would be addressing right now if it was up to me.
I was feeling really greatly distraught, and by working so many years, 20 years in the corporate firms, and I ran into a good friend of mine's, and she told me about the Mature Workers Program and how it uplifted her, because once you turn a certain age, it's like the corporate world has just like cast us aside as we get a certain age. So I went there, and I was hired immediately by Mr. Van Hollen. And he asked me to be a part of the company, and Vivian Cox Frazier, as I worked with her as her event planner, and also Shanika Banks. We worked on fundraisers, and the experience that I had with Urban League was to get my skills back, because after being off from work for 3 years, I had lost that. I was at one time a receptionist, administrative assistant, and secretary, and then moved on to a voice and network engineer.
Wow. It sounds like you got quite a bit out of the Mature Worker Program.
Yeah.
Why would it be important for the Urban League to continue this program?
Because it gives hope to those that's older. They want to work. They want to feel a part of the corporate world. And I know it gave me my dignity back, right? And I learned from them how to get my resume done the professional way. I went on interviews. They taught me how to do interviews. Also, being out of work for a long time, I did not know the latest in the Windows. I experienced to critique Windows 2007 and also Windows 7. Okay, because I had XP. And in 2003, so you know that.
So not only skill upgrades, they helped you with your resume and really helped you transform as a professional to be able to move into that new position.
Right. And then when I did move into the new position, they also sent me to Dress for Success, and I got 5 days worth of clothing. And you know that all the clothing was black because Macy's wears black. So got the position there as sales support ambassador for Macy's.
Great.
And I'm really happy that the experience that I had with Urban League really started me on a good foundation. As again I said, brought my dignity back, and I wish that for anyone. And Urban League is a powerhouse, and we cannot afford to let this powerhouse fall.
We're here with President and CEO of the National Urban League, Mr. Mark Morial. You know, the reoccurring theme of the National Urban League has been jobs, 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 rebuild America. Here at the State of Black America, what are the takeaways of what we can do locally for our Black community?
Well, we're saying occupy the vote this year. We're saying that if you want better jobs, if you want better schools, we've got to be defenders of democracy. We've got to be civically engaged. We must vote in the 2012 elections, and we must recognize that there are those who are attacking quality education, quality jobs, and the right to vote. So this year's State of Black America is special because we're going to launch an Occupy the Vote campaign and an Occupy the Vote election center, a nonpartisan effort to try to encourage all people everywhere to vote.
What's the call to action? What can people on the local level do to mobilize the vote?
I think the first thing they can do is connect with the Occupy the Vote Election Center online at IamEmpowered.com. You must know the rules about voter registration and voting in your own state because there's an effort to change the rules almost in the middle of the stream. Number two, you've got to fight back to say to people, this is not a time to be cynical. This is not a time to say there's nothing to vote for. This is a time to be much more engaged. So I think that the important word is educate yourself as a voter. Understand that there's an effort to try to turn the hands of time back when it comes to voting. Fight back against that. Work against that. Go to the Occupy the Vote Election Center at IamEmpowered.com.
I was very appreciative of the attorney's comments about us investing, making wise decisions in how we invest our wealth or how we grow and develop our wealth. But one of the things that I wish that they would have spoke on more is to talk about how our historically black colleges and universities and how our community can prepare our young professionals to be able to be successful and thrive and build wealth within the majority culture or with the majority culture in corporate America. Because right now the phenomenon is in the Portland metro area is that these global corporations recruit from historically black colleges, and these young professionals of color come and they get signing bonuses and they have a great opportunity to start developing their wealth, investing their wealth, like he was suggesting, buying life insurance policies and annuities and growing their wealth through businesses and leveraging that. However, the trend right now that human resource specialists are seeing is that they stay for 2 years and then they go back to their community in which they came from instead of leveraging their talent within the community that they were recruited. And so I'd really like to see the historically black colleges and universities and communities help give the tools to young professionals so that they can continue to be competitive with the majority culture and then help for those who come behind them.
We are here with Desiree Lucky, one of the Howard University and National Urban League essay competition winners. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Desiree, what did you write about?
So I wrote about, for the first part, college education and completion and how communities can work with students and they can work with families to help them get to college and how they can help them finance and complete that college education. And then the second part of it was about Howard and how Howard has prepared me to be a participant in the global economy and what I feel they've done well in order to get me there.
So as a student at Howard University, how do you feel you're empowered to to really shape the Black community?
Well, I definitely think being here in the nation's capital, we have access to such great resources, from the White House to Capitol Hill, judicial system, everything. Any field that you're interested in, there's something here for students. So I think it's a great opportunity to really get into industries from the time you start as an undergraduate to your completion of your degree.
So winning this competition, what will it do for you?
For me, it gives me exposure to a lot of great minds who are going to be here on the panel, exchange of discussion, of dialogue and discussion. So I think it's really going to foster my growth as a person as I go out into the professional world and help shape my ideologies and beliefs and how I'm going to influence policy in America.
We're here with Senior Vice President of Public Sector and Healthcare for AT&T, one of the long-time sponsors of the National Urban League. Thank you. We are here at the State of Black America. Can you share why it's important for companies like AT&T to support the National Urban League and movements like this?
Great. Well, first, AT&T has almost a 50-year commitment and relationship with the National Urban League. When you think about a company that embraces diversity and equal opportunity the way our company does, it makes perfect sense for us to make sure that we develop partnerships with organizations like the National Urban League.
So the State of Black America, why is this something important for AT&T to sponsor and to hear what the Urban League is doing to mobilize it on the local community?
Sure. Well, back to our commitment to diversity and equal employment and all those different types of things. For us to be successful in the 21st century, we need to make sure that we understand the issues in the community. And the State of Black America does a great job of laying out what's going good, what's going bad, and what's really the ugly portion also. And the people of AT&T, the men and women of AT&T, stand ready to support the National Urban League.